Hello, scholars. I'm Chauncey Joyce, and today I'm here with Michael Franke. He's a VP and portfolio manager managing public equity and hedge fund portfolios for the discretionary and client-based funds at FEG. So he's been in the institutional portfolio management and OCIO industry for 12 years. He's proud of his CFA and the goals that they're able to assist their nonprofit clients in achieving through investment portfolios. His educational background is finance and accounting from the University of Kentucky. Oh, Michael, we might have to stop this here. I went to Duke.
I won't hold that against you, Chauncey.
Okay, appreciate that. Professional designations for him include the CFA and the Kaya, Series 7, 63, 9, and 10, which is inactive. Michael, are you ready to get started?
I am. Thanks for having me, Chauncey. Really
Great.
cool of you to do this for your students. I wish I would have had something like this when I was in school.
Yeah, thanks. Same. I wish the same. So how would you describe your role to somebody you just met at a cocktail party or a barbecue?
Yeah, so I'll actually add on to that to my wife as well. My wife's a nurse, so she doesn't know much about the investment industry, so I have to explain to her what I do on a daily basis too. So we at FEG we manage investment portfolios for institutions, predominantly institutions. That could be anything like a college endowment. So endowment dollars can be used to fund campus projects, fund scholarships for students, things like that. So we're helping them manage those pools of assets to fund these types of projects. Aside from from college endowments, we work with community foundations, healthcare systems, things like that, managing their investment portfolios.
That's cool. So what do you think is most unique and exciting about the investment industry?
So I'll kind of pivot. My role specifically, I think what's most interesting uh, on a day-to-day basis, really, I'm meeting with investment managers to try to decide which ones we should put our clients' money with. And in that, you get to meet with a lot of very smart people, sometimes famous people, whether it be for philanthropic efforts or they're on TV talking about investments on CNBC all the time. So it's really cool, especially for a guy from Kentucky. Sometimes you feel like you a little bit of imposter syndrome, like you don't belong. But it is very neat to be able to get that type of exposure and experience and meet and learn from those kind of people.
Great. So did you face any challenges getting into this career?
Oh, absolutely. Really, the biggest hurdle was, you want experience when you go into these job interviews, but you have to get the experience somewhere. So trying to find your first job in the industry, you have to have a way to get your foot in the door. So I was lucky enough to have some family friends that were in the industry that helped me help make some introductions for me and help me at least get an interview. You still have to prove yourself in an interview, but I think that's key in building networks. Anything else you can do to show that you're driven and intelligent, whether that be working on projects at your university outside of your normal day-to-day classes, or making progress towards the CFA designation or something like that. Anything that you can show drive and intelligence above and beyond your schoolwork helps. And then again, I go back to the networks. That's huge.
Yeah, that's great advice to tell the undergrads. So I hope they take that. So what's your favorite part of your role right now?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, we work with a lot of nonprofits that have a lot of really good projects they're working on. They mean well. They're funding things like scholarships and projects in communities and things like that. So, whatever small part we have in that and helping them manage their investment portfolios and increasing their ability to meet those objectives and fund those projects, it's really cool seeing firsthand, what the outcomes are and what our clients are using those investment pool dollars to fund. It makes it a lot more meaningful doing our job when it can just be a bunch of numbers and managers and dollars sometimes. It's
Great.
actually something you can specifically point to in the community.
Yeah, that's awesome. So is there a least favorite part of your role?
I wouldn't say least favorite. I would say most challenging. Some things are just going to be by nature of the industry. You are going to get things wrong. Some things you're going to make mistakes. I think what is important is you figure out those mistakes, what you did wrong, and you don't repeat them in the future. So maybe you can shift that 55% to 56% in the future. So again, you have to be able to deal with failure. It can be tough sometimes and stressful, but it's all about how you respond to it.
That's really, really good advice. So I think you mentioned the CFA before, but do you recommend any other education or professional designations?
Yeah, the Kaya was a good one if you're going to get into alternative investments. So that's a little bit more specialized, but that was very helpful for me. I started my career doing due diligence on hedge fund managers, so it was very applicable to what I was doing. It also applies to private equity and private credit, some real assets type strategies. So that's CFA, definitely the big one, and then also Kaya if you're interested in alternatives.
Yeah, and what I like about CFA is that's something you can get started on early in your college
Yeah.
career too. So thank you. My students have more and more of a focus on mental health. Do you have any habits or routines or anything that you use that help you?
Yeah, I've got a few. I think the key is just kind of broadly, the key is just finding things outside of work where you can disconnect and find something you love to do that takes your mind off of it, especially in this industry. It can be stressful at times, as I mentioned, all the failure and things you have to learn to accept. So you need to really take some time to unplug. For me personally, I've got 3 kids and a wife, so spending time with them is what I do most. I also like to golf. I try to exercise regularly, and so I think that studies prove that that helps your mental health and well-being. So those are the things for me. But you know, everybody's going to have their own thing. I think the key is just removing yourself, unplugging occasionally at least, um, to help that mental health side of the equation.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is there anything else you feel like we didn't cover that an undergrad and an intro finance course, just starting to look at different careers might benefit from?
Yeah, I think kind of going back to my point earlier on networks, that is
Hmm.
huge. It's never too early to start developing those. Like I said, I got lucky and had some family friends that helped me out. I wish I had been more proactive throughout college and my early life, developing a network to make it easier to get in the door. I eventually did, but it was challenging. One thing that I would do is get more involved in school and with your professors. Go to office hours, volunteer with them and on projects and things because a lot of your professors were likely in the industry, like Chauncey here, so they have good networks. So
Hmm.
you get close with them. You show that you're hardworking. They'd be willing to recommend you to wherever you're trying to go in the industry, especially locally. I'm sure Chauncey knows a lot of the local investment professionals.
Yeah, that's great advice. I wish I had done the same in my undergrad. I was a little too focused on studying for tests and homework deadlines and just meeting the short-term objective, and
Exactly.
wish I had networked a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I think your advice is gonna go very far for our students. So I guess all we have to say now is go Cats, right?
Yeah, that's one thing. I was more focused on getting my studies done, and then my extra time was spent watching UK basketball beat Duke. So,
Oh,
um,
whoa, wow. There's not many of those games.
back when I was in college, there was.
Okay.
The tide shifted a little bit here lately.
Okay, I'm glad you snuck that one in.
Had
All
to.
right. Thank you so much, Michael.
Thanks a lot, Chauncey.
All right.